this. I mean, I always felt with guys like Newman, Jack Nicholson, that I would have loved to have been able to know those people, but not as a journalist, because I don't think as a journalist you could ever get to know them. There are some people you feel you do get a real sense of, but not so much with them. And what that reserve is about, I don't, you know, first of all, you know, think of the conditions. You got hundreds of us gathered in one place, and these people are closeted in these badly ventilated hotel rooms, and it's a marches one in after another, and you get your 20 minutes, your 30, or whatever the hell it is. They keep shrinking the times now. You know, oh, you could have 10 minutes with Mr. So-and-so. You know, yeah, thanks. But you know, it's an ordeal, and I can understand why a lot of actors don't like to do it, because a lot of journalists don't like to do it, and I was one of them. I never thought it was a lot of fun to talk to people under those circumstances. It was hard. Because if you want to establish, I don't know if you agree with this, but it took me, I would say, to really do an interview. Now I'm not talking about a definitive profile here, I'm just talking about a good interview. You need a few minutes just to be able to sort of establish some sort of connection with the person, and to let them know that, you know, you're not there to you know, do them harm. You're genuinely interested in what they have to say. And when things get really pinched and cramped and everybody's nervous around the opening of a movie, and you got people hovering and publicists in the hallway knocking on doors, you've had enough time, it's hard to know what people are actually reacting to.
Well, also with Paul Newman, I think Newman, over a period of years, sort of accumulated this reservoir of goodwill. And it came in handy because, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I actually did a story about this. I mean, when he showed up for the Blaze junket. And I wrote it as kind of, you know, and I was kind of amused by his behavior and the idea that, you know, he really wasn't all that interested in, you know, bearing his soul. He wasn't even interested in providing very many answers, period. But I enjoyed the little time I had with him. I'm ashamed to admit, I was charmed by him. Well, one of my editors read this story and said, what a vain son of a bitch this guy is. I mean, what do you mean? You know, well, he wanted to talk about Newman's own coffins. At one point, we were talking about, you know, because he was complaining at one point in Blaze, you know, he's laid out in the coffins, and those damn things are uncomfortable. They don't build these things, you know, so people can really relax for all of eternity or something like that. And it was sort of like, well, maybe I did a bad job as a writer not communicating this, but if you're in his presence, if you were hearing him say these things, it was almost like, okay, you know this is a joke, and I know this is a joke, and you're going to be in here for 15 minutes, and you're going to pretend like you're my best friend, and you're going to write about everything inside my heart, and we both know that's crap, you know. But if you're outside of the system, you're looking at that, you may think the guy is vain. There are other actors who don't get this reservoir of goodwill, and without naming any names, I can think of at least two people who really are thoroughgoing sons of bitches, and they've never bothered not to come across this way in interviews. And one of them has got 2 Oscars to his credit, but I don't think this person, you know, could open a movie today if his life depended upon it. I think the audience has, for whatever reason, turned on him as a leading man. He can do character work from time to time. And the press isn't very kind to him. And part of that is he doesn't live his private life circumspectly. You know, Newman, like I say, except for, I think, a couple of things very early in his career, he got arrested for drunk driving or something. And, you know, there was never a scandal. You never saw Paul Newman on the front of the National Enquirer or anything like that. You know, he lived his life, you know, the way he wanted to live it, but he lived it with a sense of, I guess, of moderation. So there wasn't this incentive for people in the press, we'll pounce on him now.
It seems like he did have a sense of goodwill too, in having the charity work. He really owned that charity work and made that meaningful. I think a lot of actors and other famous people have charities, but they don't really necessarily live it. I think.
Well, there's also,